Okay, welcome back. We're starting our fourth shiur in Brachos. Welcome back. I hope you've enjoyed the first three. And what I'd like to do today, we're going to be learning new Gemara. Remember the last year we went through this whole, this 6-step graph, graphing out the Gemara in a straight line for four of them. And step number 5, going back on step number 1. Now I'm going to do a quick review. I was trying to get a split screen here, it didn't go, so we're gonna have to toggle back between these two fields. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go along through the Gemara and enter right here where the steps are. I'm hopefully that'll help clear it, because we're actually doing 2 more steps, well, at least 1 more step today, possibly 2. Okay, so let's get to it. So the Gemara started. Quick review, and again, I think it's especially. Let me back it up for a minute. Review serves 2 functions, and I'm just telling the new learners for a lifetime of learning. Sometimes you review, so you should remember better, and that's really important. But when you have an ongoing sugya, okay, so there's 2, that's one type of memory. You just want to remember something. Even if it's 1 sentence, if it's 1 fact that you want to remember, that's also important. But what makes it even more important is, in my practice as a Rebbe, I didn't always review the previous day's Gemara. But if this Gemara continues on the previous Gemara, then you really need to, I find that you really need to set up this chart that we had here, where you're going step to step. Again, we're up to step 6. We're going to add step 7 today. I always recommend, all your life, when you start something, when you come in on a fresh day or a fresh class, and you want to, get oriented, I think it's very important to go over these steps. So let's just go over them again. So again, step 1 was a statement. Tefilas Hashachar was till chatzos. That's the Chachamim said. Rabbi Yehuda said until 4 hours, and we have that listed right over here. Right? Chachamim say Shachar was till chatzos. Rabbi Yehuda says it's till 4 hours. And the second step, the Gemara says, well, I'll ask you a question. I'm not going to go over every detail, but just enough to get the steps in. We had a thing about Vasikin, right? We had a thing that Vasikin used to get up in the morning, and that's the time. So why do you say that it's 6 hours or 4 hours? There's actually Vasikin. Okay, so in this chart here, right, this would be this part here, and we would say, let me see, I decided to stand today, so it might be a little easier to write. So let's see. Okay, so here, let's make a picture of the sun. How do you like that? Sunrise. Okay, so when sunrise comes in Netzachama, so it should be there should be 3 times. And again, looking back at the graphic that Rebbe made with the 3 things here, so you have 6, 4, and then Vasikin. And again, let's again concentrate on this. The Mishnah and the Brisa, this train is illustrating to us. Here it says you have to daven at least 4 hours. At 4 hours or 6 hours, and here it says you have to do it right away at sunrise. So again, we had a question, we had a kasha, because we obviously have a conflict here. So the Gemara answers, no, that's only for Vasikin. Those are for Vasikin, right? So Vasikin, they used to get up, VA, okay, Vasikin. Okay, so the Vasikin, they used to daven at the it was a Hidur mitzvah. It was a better way to do it, but you didn't have to do it. And this is a raya, and this is a proof to a proof, because we said, Rabbi Yochanan said, Vasikin, again, this one here is a teretz, right? So this here is a teretz. And we're answering that it's Vasikin, and now we'll prove it, because we have Rabbi Yochanan who said that they used to do it with the Netzachama. Okay, so less is more. We'll make a check. So the check is a proof to the last step, and then we go to the next 2 steps. Again, we got these straight in a row, right? We did those. You see over here, it only does till through Shiur Gimel. This is actually adding to, and we'll see today, we're going to add some more in a different format. Okay, so we have this straight. So now let's get on to the next one. So the Gemara says, remember we had a bitmiya, we have a kasha, because v'chuli alma ad chatzais v'sula is there only until chatzais, and there's nothing more than that. But we have a few people said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan said that if he made a mistake and he didn't daven, if he didn't daven Ma'ariv, he davens Shachris twice. If he misses Shachris, he davens Mincha twice. So therefore, why do you say that it's only, right? Here was the graphic here. Why do you say that it's only until, that's only until the 6th hour? Okay. Why do you say that it's only until the 6th hour? It really should be, it should be the entire day, because you see that the whole day you have time to daven. So we're back to our question that it doesn't seem to have been properly presented to us. Okay, so the Gemara answers. So let's see. So that was the kasha, and the Gemara answers that till chatzais you get tefillah bizman, and after chatzais you get a schar for tefillah, but you don't get a schar, the reward for tefillah bizman. And when Rabbi Yochanan was telling us that when he was telling us this halacha here, right, about when Rabbi Yochanan said it, then those people quoting Rabbi Yochanan said that if you daven Shachris, if you miss Ma'ariv, you daven Shachris twice. So it was like Rebbe gave an example about a book report. You got it in, but you didn't get it in on time, so you're not going to get full credit. So and the Chachamim in the Mishnah were only talking about full credit. Okay, so let's just try to figure out what to write here, right? So so the question was that it says really all 12 hours. You could daven. We have a kasha. Oops. So we have a question that it says that really that you should be able to daven the entire day. So the Gemara answers. I'm not even going to try. Okay, the reward here. So the Gemara says you get a reward. You get a reward for davening on time. If you daven between 6 and 12 hours in the day, you get tefillah. You get a schar for tefillah, but you don't get a schar for tefillah bizman. Now we're going to go to a question, and this starts Shiur Hey, and you see this is the first time we have this icon of a she'ela. A she'ela is different than a kasha. A kasha is, hey, how could you say this, but that, right? How could you do this? We said that before, right? You told me whatever, right? You told me one thing one day, and now you're telling me a different thing. That's a kasha. A she'ela is a she'elas birur. It's usually a request for information. Many times, or perhaps most times, a she'ela will come at the beginning of a Gemara. It's a little unusual that you have a she'ela, because usually you want more information. That's usually when you're starting off a new topic. So I'm going to read just the text. We're going to come back and do it again because there's a lot of words here. But what the Gemara asks is a two-sided question right here. Okay, and let's do this a little quick peek ahead. And here was the question in visual form. Okay, and the she'ela was like this: if a person misses mincha, can he daven twice by Ma'ariv? Now, what did we learn before? Before we learned that if you missed Ma'ariv, you say Shachris twice. If you miss Shachris, you say Mincha twice. Now, the day ends after Mincha. So the question is, can you make up davening the next day? Okay, that's an interesting question. Again, we just saw the flow of the Gemara and mentioning about making up davening. So now we come with a logical question. Again, the she'ela is a request for information. It's the first time we've had this. If a person misses mincha, may he daven twice by Ma'ariv. So the reason to say no, let's do no first. So the logic behind no is we're saying like this, that the tefillah is in place of karbanos, right? There was a Talmud shel Shachar, the carbon board in the morning, a carbon board in the afternoon is Mincha, and at Ma'ariv they used to burn things on the Mizbeach, so that's a recognition for Ma'ariv. Now the rule is that the halacha is that if a carbon was supposed to be brought a certain day and you missed the day, so that was it. You couldn't bring a carbon. We say tefillah isn't the place of karbonos. Once a day has passed, the carbon is batal. You can't bring the carbon anymore. So if you're davening as a result of a carbon, so if you missed mincha, you can't bring the carbon at night. Okay, that's the whole point. You can't nightfall. There wasn't the time for karbonos. So if you missed up until mincha, that's it. They couldn't bring the carbon. Or do we say, yeah, that's why we do it. In other words, we do the karbanos, tefillah because of karbanos, but the fact of the matter is that it's still a tefillah. So tefillah you can daven anytime. So those are two pretty legitimate ways of looking at this question. We'll get to it. We'll get to it in the Gemara. I thought it might be helpful if we understood the two questions because there's just a lot of words in today's shiur, a lot of new words and a lot of words. So I thought it might be helpful if we went through the logic first. Usually we do that at the end. So let's see. So let's go through the Gemara now. So this is shiur hey. Now, so the Gemara asks a question. Ibayalahu, let me ask you a question. Okay. Yeah, right, let's read the text on top of my cursor. The Gemara now has a shaila related to something we said in shiur Gimel. Bang. Now, before we start, we said in shiur Gimel, right? Remember we said in shiur Gimel, we were talking about that if he missed davening, right, he can go until 12 hours. So let's just, I'm going to skim ahead to something. I don't want to spend that much time on it now, but it's just a way to remember it even at the beginning. If you remember I'll just wait for it to populate here. One of the things about Rabbi Spivak's flowcharts is that, if you remember, we did yesterday, in yesterday's shiur, in the previous shiur, in the third, it was a shiur Daled, but in the third recording, the class that we gave online here, we went through just a moment. Yeah. So we pointed out when we did the flowchart that step 5, asking about the missing davening or going till the 12th hour of the day, was actually a question that was going back to the Mishnah. I'm sorry, not to the Mishnah, but to this. Here we go. Right. So, in other words, we had a statement, and then we said we had a question and a proof, and then this went back to the beginning. The Chacham said it didn't go back. In other words, step 5 didn't follow step 4. It went back to the Mishnah because the statement that we made. So we said step 5 says, well, there's 12 hours also. So that's not a question on this answer that he gave. It's a question way back here. So here it's interesting. Every Gemara has a different flow. Some of them are like a railroad train, like a train, just all straight in a row. Sometimes you have a little different type of thinking, but it's important to note that this she'ela that we're asking now about, can you daven Ma'ariv a second time, or is the day up, really goes back to this statement here, because what did they say here? This thing said 12 hours, right? And that you could make up davening all day. So we said, hey, you said this statement said if you missed Ma'ariv, you could do Shachris. If you missed Shachris, you could do Mincha. You didn't say anything about Ma'ariv. So this question here goes back to here, not to the original question of the Gemara. Okay, we'll just leave that till we review it, but it's really important to help this flow in your head. So Ibaylahu, Ta'av Elai Hispalel Mincha. If you made a mistake and he didn't daven Mincha. Mahu sheyispalel arvis beis. That beis means twice. So should he daven Ma'ariv twice? Regarding whether he should daven Ma'ariv twice. Now, I'm reading the text, and now that the Gemara asked its question, it will present a logical reason for each possibility. So first the Gemara will explain no, and So, imtim tzalaimer, if you're going to say ta'avalai hispalel arvis, if he didn't daven ma'ariv, he davens shachris twice. Why? Mishum, because the chad yaimahu, it's one day. It's that same day, because ma'ariv, again, we Jewish people, the Torah goes by starting at night. Vahi erev vahi b'ayke yom echad. So at Ma'ariv, he missed, that's the first davening of the day. Normally you would say it's Shachris, right? Because in America, we get up in the morning, everybody does. You know, your day starts, the calendar days in English start from the morning. But halachically, you'd say if he missed Ma'ariv, so he has Shachris in that same day. Chad means one. If you remember, I told you a while back that the words in Aramaic, not all of them, but many of them, are actually similar to, you can see some correlation, some connection to Hebrew. So chad, what do we have in that says one is echad, right? So the chad is a word in Aramaic for one. So mishum the chad yamahu. So since it's one day, it would make sense that you should be able to daven the same. The diksiv, and it says, because it says in the pasuk in Bereshis. Again, diksiv is a pasuk, as it is written, is the backstory. Vayihi erev, it was evening. Vayihi baiker, and it was morning. Yom echad. So we see that the evening goes according to the morning for the same day. Like from this pasuk, we see that from evening until morning is still the same day. So now the Gemara concludes the reason why a person who missed mincha might not be able to. So this, now we made the case. Remember, we said that we did this no first. We did this no. The reason we can't, excuse me, the other way around. Let's get again. They see every so this you'd be able to. I'm sorry, aval hacha, but here, tefillah b'makam carbon. Who? This really goes with that. I shouldn't have stopped there. My bad. Aval hacha, tefillah b'makam carbon. Who? Tefillah is in place of a carbon. The Chachamim, the Gemara tells us that Avraham made, Shachris, Yitzchak made Mincha, Yaakov made Ma'ariv. So here it says that tefillah is instead of the karbanas, and they set it up for the karbanas. The chivan, the avar yamai, since the day passed, kivan, since, I'll get the translation in. The avar yamai, since its day passed, meaning the day when it switched from mincha to ma'ariv, a new day came in, and now it's too late. Batal karbanan. Okay, so what the Gemara is referring to, let's go through this. We have a lot of text here. Okay, what the Gemara is referring to is a rule that applies to karbanas. If a carbon is supposed to be brought on a specific day, once that day has passed, meaning when the sun set, it's too late to make up that carbon. So if somebody prepares a carbon in it, let's say there was a big line getting to the mizbeach, to the altar where the karbanas were brought, or the guy had to run away. He wasn't feeling well. He had to get something to eat. And all of a sudden, nighttime came and his carbon is still waiting to be brought. So you can't bring it at night and you can't bring it the next day either. So again, so too by tefillah, perhaps we will say that if he didn't daven by the time mincha is over, he can't make it up by Ma'ariv because the day passed. Okay, now, so this is a no. So all of these three components do what we did down below, and we said why it's not good. Why? He made a mistake and he didn't daven Ma'ariv, he davened Shachris twice, because it's one day, by but this example where Ma'ariv follows, where Ma'ariv is a separate day, so just like by a carbon you can't bring it, it would be logical that you can't bring it here either. Idilma, or perhaps, Kevan, that Slaisa Rachmehu, Slaisa means davening, and we see Rachamim, we could say that's pretty close to Hebrew, right? Rachamim. Slaisa, we say it in davening, but when we say it in davening, it's Aaron. Slaisa Damali Shapsa, or other thing, it's usually Aramaic. So the Slaisa, Rachmehi, the whole idea of tefillah, it's not a carbon. That's really what it's saying. The first reason for saying no, this reason over here for saying no, right, this space here, we say no because tefillah is like a carbon, so it should be considered like a carbon. But the other side would say no, but it's not a carbon. So why should the halachas it's really davening that's correlated to a carbon, but it's tied to the way karbanos work to remind us of the Beis Hamikdash or whatever. But it's not a carbon. It's all davening. Davening is asking Hashem for Rachmanis. That's a 24/7 thing. So you should be doing it anytime. Idilma, Kivan, Itzlaisa, Rachmehi, since davening is a request for Rachmanis, Kol Emas Dabai, anytime, a lot of new words here, Kol Emas Dabai, anytime that you would like, Matzle, that we had before, Tzlaisa and Matzle are the same word. Matzle, he could daven, V'azl, and he could continue davening. And what the Gemara here, let's read the text here. What the Gemara means to say that the mercy of Hashem doesn't have to do, isn't controlled by a day. Hashem's love and compassion for us don't change when the day ends. Therefore, perhaps if someone made up a missed tefillah, he could do it even a different day. So these are the two, again, these are the two paths to go. Question was, if a person missed mincha, can he daven twice by Ma'ariv? The reason for saying no is tefillah instead of a carbon. Once the day passed, the carbon is over. And the reason for yes is that it's davening. So therefore, you can do the davening at any time. Okay? So let's just go quickly through a homework sheet. You know what? I'm going to jump ahead just for a moment. And I was going to get this chart. Okay, so we'll do it this way. Here. So let's go back again. So the Gemara says, at this point now, we're finished with step number 7. Step number 7 is a question back on step number, right? 7 goes back to 5 and said step number 5, where we said here that there's a, remember we said that, right? So step number 5 said that you can daven 12 hours in the day, and right? And you could daven 12 hours. And then we said, well, it's not the lechatchila, but here in 7, we say, well, what's the din? How about if you missed Ma'ariv, a mincha, do you say shachris twice? And we left it before step number 8 here. Okay, so let's just do let's do the review sheets. Put it all together. So let's go see what Rebbe wants us to do first. So retranslate and explain the Gemara. Ibayalahu, we asked the question. How about this? At this time, why don't we put a little punctuation in ourselves? So certainly you can do it in your sheet. I used to encourage my Talmidim that felt it was helpful to them that they could do, they should do it in pencil. If they wanted to write in their Gemara, a punctuation at least, I said take pencil, and as you learn it, like you can erase it as you go. But if you're starting Gemara now, it's certainly fine. So Ibayalahu, I'll ask you a question. That's a little, that's something darker. Okay, so Ibayalahu, I'll ask you a question. Okay, so this is a little comma here. Ta, if you made a mistake, v'loy hispalo mincha, I'll give this a comma, and he didn't daven mincha, a pause. Again, you'll pause again. So, Ibaylo will ask you a question. Ta, v'loy hispalo mincha, if you made a mistake and he didn't daven mincha, mahu sheyispalel arvis, what do you say? Mahu, what is the idea? Sheyispalel arvis shtayim, should he daven twice? So this gets a question mark, right? Oosh. Okay, hey, not bad. Okay, so I think my best job so far. Okay, Ma'ashi Yispalel Arvis Shtayim, should he daven Ma'ariv twice? Imtim Tzalaimer, if you're going to say Ta'av V'loi Hispalel Arvis, Mispalel Shachris Beis, if you said that because if he made a mistake and he didn't daven Ma'ariv, he could daven Shachris twice. Why? Let's look comma here. Mishum Dechad Yoimahu, because it's one day. The ksiv, it says, maybe a period here. Okay, would that be a good reason? At least a pause, a bigger pause than a comma. Because it says, and the day, it first goes night and then goes day. Aval hacha, but here, this definitely is a comma, but aval hacha, but here, tefillah b'makam carbon he. The tefillah is instead of a carbon, right? It's instead of a carbon. The kivan, the aver yamai, since the day passed, batal karbanai, then give him another period here. Okay, at least a pause, stop sign. It's not a red light, I'd give it a stop sign. Batal karbanai, the carbon is batal. Idilmo, or perhaps, kivan ditzlaisa, since davening, rachamehi is mercy, is asking Hashem for Achmanis, kol emes the bayi, matzel v'azal, big period, stop sign. Okay, so kol emes the bayi, whenever he wants to, matzle v'azal, he's able to daven. Okay, so that was the question. Can you daven mincha? If you miss mincha, can you daven ma'ariv twice? Well, first you could say if you made a mistake, it's only by the same day. Mishum dechad yoimahu, like it says ve'eri vayivayker. But here, the Tefilas instead of a carbon, maybe it's too late. Idilma, or perhaps even the slice of rachmehu, kol emes the bayi matzle can daven at any time. Okay, that's cute. So please underline the reason that the answer might be yes. So we want to. Okay, if you're going to say, I would say from here, Mishum dechad yaimah, right? Imtim slamet tov v'lo. If you made a mistake and you didn't daven, ma'ariv, he davens shachos twice. So here's where the reason is. Let's change color so it won't get mixed up with the other stuff. Okay, so I'd say here Mishum dechad yaimah. That oops, I think I did the wrong thing. Here we go. Okay, so Mishum. Okay, so Mishum dechad yaimahu, tiksiv, vahi erev, vahi vaike yaim echad. Okay? The reason might be yes, no, we have to continue then, because this is also avalacha, but here, since tefillah, oh my goodness, I'm sorry I did the wrong thing. Yes is actually second, right? Oh, bad, my bad. Dilma's, okay, back to the ranch. I'm sorry. I was going in order. Rebbe threw a little hand grenade in there, guys. Okay, Rebbe made a little trick here because the reason for yes is before the reason for no. I just did it automatically, thinking that that's this. Okay, so the real answer would be it's too hard to erase here. Idilma would be the reason for yes. Idilma, since kivan ditzlaisa rachmihu, since davening is mercy, kol emes the bayi matzli v'azal, so he can daven at any time. That's the reason for yes. I am going to have a talk with Rabbi Spivak today. Okay, put brackets around the reason for no, so that's why we made those blue lines. Okay, mishum debai, mishum dechad yamahu, one day. It's erev evek yom echad, but here, since tefillah is instead of a carbon, once the day is over, the carbon is batal. Okay, so that would be the reason. And circle the pasuk is vahi erev vayivaker. That would be right over here. Oops, here I should change colors. Vahi erev vayivaker. That would go right. Whoops. That would go right over here. Okay, so okay, the rest of it we'll just leave. Now take it apart again. Remember we put it all together, right? These icons appear throughout the whole Gemara, this Gemara and all the Gemara series. So putting it together means take all the pieces that you learned. Okay, when you see this putting it together, that means we learned a lot of words today and we spoke about things. So put it all together and let's capture it in our mind so it's clear. So we were able to do this except for my mistake. Taking it apart is the opposite. Okay, so this step in the Gemara, the answer to this one is it's a she'ela. It's a she'ela's birur, right? It's a request for information. So this step of the Gemara, shin. Why couldn't it be a vav? Okay, so it's a she'ela. Okay, so it's a she'ela, and there's three parts to the step. So this is good. Okay, the actual question. Let's see. So Ibayil, who we asked the question, if he didn't daven mincha, can he daven? Look at this here. So Aleph, step Aleph here, Ibayil, who we ask a question. So this really would be, again, if we're listing it here, this is where it stops, right? So if you want to know the steps, the actual question is the first one. Everything from here, so all of this, all of this is one long question, and that's the actual question. Then we have the other two parts is we're going to explain no and then yes. Okay, so imtim salam etavelas bal shachris mispal arvis mispal shachris time, because it's one day and it says by erev v'vakei yom echad. maybe we should do it in one day? Or do you say, so all of this entire, from here, all the way through till Batal Karbana, until here, that's the first part. That's the reason why it's no. Since it's instead of a carbon, so it should, so again, everything between these two purples is the second part, and that part would be the no part. And if Idilmo, or perhaps the third part is Kivin B'tzlaisa Rachmihu, since it's Rachmanis, Kol Emes Deboy Matzli Vazel, he can really daven at any time. So that would be actually the third part. What Rebbe's really trying to get us to think about is thinking about it in terms of, that looks the same, thinking about it in terms of how to, that's what it means, take it apart. Okay, so this is the pattern. Put it together means take everything and let's just make one thread and one thought out of it. And here is, let's drill in and analyze what really are the three parts that we're doing. And there is nothing else here. So we're gonna, the next year, we'll go over the teretz, and that's going to answer which way we determine the right way to go is. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this year, and let's do it again.